Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to talk about Mark Bell. If drinking diet soda is some nasty, evil thing, and the mysterious deleted comments. Before I get to that topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas I turn into videos just like this. All right, I'm joined by Faz of Fazlifts. Faz, where can they find you on the worldwide interwebs?
Hey folks, Fazlifts on YouTube and Instagram. See you there.
All right, so Faz approached me yesterday, and Faz, what did you run into? You ran into a clip on the Mark Bell's Power podcast where Dave Asprey is talking about aspartame and diet soda. Can you kind of unpack that a little bit and share what they were discussing?
Yeah, so I quite like Mark Bell's podcast, and I like where he's going with it. He has a wide range of guests on right now, some of which are very high quality and some of which are like Dave Asprey. And so I ran into this clip of a longer podcast where he was talking about diet soda. Now, Dave mentioned a PubMed study. And so me being me, I like looking at studies. So he mentioned the name of this study, the number, so I reference code. So I went and looked it up. And the study itself does not support what Dave is saying on the podcast. In fact, it actually says the exact opposite of his point that he's trying to make. So I wanted to talk about that. And I actually made a post on Mark Bell's channel, which was deleted twice. I made it, tried to make it again, was deleted. So they didn't want my analysis of what Dave was saying because presumably they knew Dave was talking out of his behind on that one. So I think we're going to unpack that today.
So basically, Dave is kind of getting at referencing a study that says drinking diet soda makes you obese. You know, in a headline, that sounds really good and really shocking. And that's the sort of toxic science, Faz, that gets tossed around. People will hear these little earshots, these little earworms. Diet soda is toxic. Oh my goodness, I better stop drinking it. Or studies show broccoli can actually blah, blah, blah and make you fat. So these things are really, really toxic. Would you agree?
Yeah, so Dave was using a lot of strong verbiage there to describe how bad these sweeteners were. And so I thought I'd go ahead and look it up. And what I found, Dave was trying to say that these sweeteners, aspartame, was responsible for obesity, or at least contributed to it. Now, when I looked at the study, firstly, the study was done on rats. Now, it's generally accepted that we can't draw too much from rat studies to human studies. However, I looked further into it, and actually reading the study, it quite clearly says that the rats which were treated with aspartame rather than water lost more weight, ended up with a better body composition, all from having the sweetener in their diet. So the actual point that Dave was saying was that it's implicated in obesity was completely wrong by the study that he himself was trying to put forward to support his point. So he's either getting dementia from a lack of, I don't know what, carbs or something, or something's going on. But Dave didn't seem to be in his right state of mind, or maybe not quoting, I don't know, but he got it all wrong. I wanted to point that out on Mark Bell's podcast in the comments, and that's what got deleted.
So we're going to show you the clip, and then we're going to show you the actual study. And, regarding deleting comments, I mean, we both run a YouTube channel, and there are certain comments everybody deletes. Like I'll delete comments that are just blatant, profanity or really over the edge, stuff that's just completely inappropriate. Or, people that just come on my channel and call me an idiot. I don't need to, go watch some other channel. I'll just, I don't need that on my channel. But if I make a point and somebody is going to, point it out, it makes for some good discussion. So with that said, let's run the clip and then we'll look at the study.
NutraSweet or aspartame. And there are studies, PubMed studies, that show that NutraSweet causes obesity and metabolic disease despite the intention of limiting caloric intake.
All right, so let's not skim past the word studies, okay?
Yeah.
And did he say metabolic diseases? with
Yeah,
plural.
metabolic diseases, obesity, said it all.
Okay, so what he said, just so we're on the same sheet of music, and this is not a witch hunt, but we want to make it clear what he stated, that there are studies that show they cause metabolic diseases. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the study right now. Did we show the clip where he actually mentioned the study number?
Just in the next second or two. So if you just let it run.
Okay. Let me look here.
The PubMed on that is 253-13461.
Yeah.
253-13461. We just happen to have that here. So the blue highlighted area is the important area. And before we got on, Faz, you mentioned there's a good chance that he just read the introductory line and kind of, skimmed it and cherry picked it. This is the introductory line says aspartame consumption is implicated by some, okay, in the development of obesity and metabolic disease, despite the intention of limiting calorie intake. So you can kind of tell Dave Asprey cherry picked the phrase metabolic disease right out of this first sentence. It does not say diseases, it says disease, just for clarity. And this is an opening introductory statement basically saying there is a belief that some people think that aspartame consumption is implicated in the development of obesity. That's what they're testing. Are we clear on that, Faz? Is that 100% on the mark?
Exactly. Just for the people at home, whenever you're doing a study, you're investigating some sort of theory, you're investigating some sort of notion. So like if you try to do a theory on the effects of, meat consumption on cancer, you would start off by saying, there we are testing the idea that increased meat causes cancer or whatever, right? You would pose a statement and say, this is what we're testing. And that's what the first sentence is. It's saying that there is a common belief that these sweeteners result in obesity. We are going to test that. I think, and I think Steve thinks, that's what Dave read and just assumed that was the result of the study. Well, that's what they were testing. And so I don't think Dave got past the first sentence, because as we read on, we'll see what the actual result was.
Yeah, and just for clarity, with every study, there are many things you can unearth or find. And in this study, they found changes in weight. They found changes in gut, the microbiome in the gut, etc. And obviously, Faz, we need to always state that we know one study is inconclusive, and a meta-analysis on the topic is always what we're after. So this is a one-time study, and here is what they found, and I'm going to read it. Animals on aspartame, that's the artificial sweetener, for those of you keeping score at home, consumed fewer calories. Okay, so this is not a hypothesis. This is what they found. Animals on aspartame consumed fewer calories. They weren't fed fewer calories. They consumed fewer calories.
The feeding was done ad libitum, which means that they were basically given a diet and allowed to eat as much as they liked. So yes, they just ended up consuming less.
The next part of that says gained less weight. Let that resonate around the room for a little bit. They gained less weight. When allowed to eat freely, they gained less weight and had a more favorable body composition when challenged with HF compared to animals consuming water. Wait, water. Not anything toxic, not another artificial sweetener, Faz. Water. So the results of their study were that these animals, some were given aspartame, some were given water. They were able to eat freely. And the animals that were consumed the aspartame lost weight, ate less, and had a resulting better body composition. We missing anything here?
I think that's absolutely right. Now, I think this, firstly, just to kind of summarize for everyone, what this study has shown is that with the inclusion of these sweeteners, the aspartame, that these rats, they ended up eating less freely without any restriction compared to those who are eating the same exact diet but were just drinking water. And I think that's kind of the bottom line on the actual study. Also, I will say this was done on rats, so it's not always transferable to humans either way. But that's certainly what we have, which is from the study that Dave himself posted to support his notion that aspartame reduced or caused obesity, which doesn't seem to bear out.
And in a true scientific discussion, both parties will understand that a one-off study is absolutely useless. I mean, it is one single indicator. And even though this indicator actually falls on the side of aspartame being more friendly for weight loss, it's just a single study. And cherry picking a single study benefits really no one when we draw a hard conclusion, right? You just can't take one study and say, this is the hard conclusion. This is the end of the story.
Yeah. And so equally, I would say you can't just read a sort of a study title and then assume the outcome, because it seems that that's kind of what Dave did, was that he read the study title, low-dose aspartame consumption differentially affects gut microbiota, blah, blah, blah. And then he read the first sentence and he seemed like, okay, I've got it now. Whereas I think it's quite a dangerous thing to do, because then if you're just reading, just reading the abstract is dangerous enough. We actually have the whole study here as well. So does Steve. And it says pretty much the same thing. But I think what Dave did there was he just read the title and the first sentence without any kind of context and assumed the answer, but then dangerously assumes that his audience is not going to cross-check the details of the study. But our audiences are more intelligent than that. They'll read the actual study, they'll read, the full details around it. So I think he's assuming that people are going to skip over a lot of the finer details. So he's just shoving this in, just saying a lot of random numbers until people think, okay, Dave knows what he's talking about. He's rattling off studies. And for those people who are not really used to reading studies or looking into things further, perhaps they would just take him on his word and go, oh, I guess Dave's intelligent. He reads studies. Whereas if you have guys like me and Steve, we actually do read these studies and take an interest in them. Once you look into it, the point is actually it could be used as a study to disprove what Dave's trying to say rather than prove what he's trying to say. I think that's it's something to bear in mind with a lot of people online. Cross-check your information.
So just as an end cap, there's always a few degree of people that watch these videos and they're like, who cares? Why are you blowing this up? We're not, these types of things, Faz, are questions we get as coaches every single day from clients. Mm-hmm. And, the core of what anybody that's a real coach or really wants to help people, the core issue that they deal with is misinformation or bad information. And people mean well, but their brains are stuffed with shit like this, which is just unfortunate. There's no intelligent discussion. There's no, talk about why this is a single study. It's just some guy getting on Mark Bell's podcast, burning the house down and causing all this panic. And it needs to be talked about because this industry needs less of this kind of crap. So if Mark Bell wants to have you on instead of deleting your comments, we'd highly encourage it. But that's really not what we're after. So the bottom line, Fast, for anybody that is looking at drinking Diet Coke or diet soda as an alternative on their diet, what's your best advice for them?
Best advice is that we have proven safety of these types of sweeteners for 50, 60 years at this stage. These aren't new things. Now, if there were, causing obesity, causing cancer, God knows what else people attribute to these things, they would be taken off the shelves. The reason that I'm interested in this kind of stuff, and same with Steve, is we have clients, we have people we know who are trying to lose weight, who are desperately unhappy with their bodies, want to lose a few pounds. And if it means that having some Diet Coke, having some diet soda, whatever, is going to help them stick to the diet for another day, just to get through that, if it's going to help them make a change in their life, I fully support it. And we have something with sweeteners. We have something with these Diet Cokes, Diet Sodas, which allow people to have something a little bit sweet in their mouth, a little bit fizzy, which tastes good and makes them feel better about their day when they're in a calorie deficit. What we don't need is somebody like Dave Asprey, who is just going around with false information saying that people shouldn't be doing like that. Because then what happens, Steve, is people give up. They go, okay, you know what? I can't even have this. I can't have that. I'm eating nothing but God knows what Dave recommends per day. So I'm just going to give up the diet because this is too hard and I'm going to stay obese because it's not worth it. Whereas if we can provide some sort of clarity for these people and go, actually, it's beneficial. Go ahead and have it. If it's going to if it's going to cut off your cravings for another day or so and it helps you get through today, go ahead and do it. Because you know what? We have multiple decades to prove its safety. And if it's going to help you stick to your diet, the bigger thing is actually getting your body weight down, because that has the most impact on your health outcomes, which is why we're doing this video.
You know, I'm a recovering binge eater. I'm not shy about sharing my story. And I drink the sugar-free Monsters nearly every day. I like the fizz. I like the flavor. It helps me, and I will eat my breakfast. And then, like yesterday, I won't eat again until 6 o'clock at night because I have something to kind of fill in the gaps. That's not just pure water. It's beneficial to me. It's not causing that's just my story. It's not causing obesity. What I find really repulsive and offensive and really, short-sighted, narrow-minded, however you want to frame it, is the fact that we're in the middle of the worst obesity epidemic in the history of mankind, fueled by the pandemic. And we got some guy on a podcast, like swatting at a fly when there's a swarm of Satan's hellhounds coming at you. It's completely, it's completely missing the mark and missing the point. And, there are other things we should be discussing. Sorry, my dogs are having a fit over here.
No, I completely agree. I think generally with Mark Bell, he has a pretty high level of guests on his show. However, I do think occasionally he misses the mark. And you do get guys like Dave Asprey coming on, and the message they're sending out, it can make people just give up hope, because wherever you turn, it's like, I can't have any fun at all. So screw it. I'm just going to forget the diet altogether. We have to avoid that way of thinking, and providing some clarity on how people can actually make their diets a little bit more palatable is of prime concern.
Yeah, we're not taking a swat at Mark Bell specifically, but
No.
the only thing that unnerves me in all of this whole thing is the fact that they removed your comments.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they should have kept them, and I think it would have been a platform for good discussion that helps people. And at the end of the day, Mark, that's your social media platform, and you have an obligation to provide the best information to help people. And at the end of the day, either you're going to try to help people in this situation, or you're going to try to, squelch intelligent discussion. So pick a lane and let us know what it is. So guys, hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. If you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd appreciate the support. Check out Faz Lifts on YouTube at Faz Lifts, or Faz Lifts on Instagram. Thanks, Faz. We'll talk to you next time.
Take care, guys.